over in the States, and I'm so sad that this is a thing. On top of that, you gotta love American consumerism because they will go all out. So this last one's gonna be really controversial and might even piss off some people. G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Kaitlyn and I'm an American living in beautiful Sydney, Australia. Happy Halloween to my viewers, to my subscribers. So as you guys can tell from this video, we're talking about the differences between Halloween in America compared to Australia. And I know a lot of Aussies watching this off the bat are automatically looking at me going, we don't even celebrate Halloween here in Australia. What are you talking about? Why are you making an entire video out of this? And there's probably a few American viewers who are looking at me going, you don't look like you're ready for Halloween. You don't really have any sort of orange and black going on. There's no Halloween costume. In fact, it looks like you're ready for spring. So there are so many differences, you guys. Obviously, this is actually a pretty big topic. So grab a Becky, grab a cuppa, and let's jump into some of the differences between America and Australia, Halloween edition. So America and Australia both have a very strong Irish background to them, and Halloween is based in Celtic tradition, in Celtic folklore. So why is it that America celebrates Halloween, but in Australia, this seems to be a pretty new phenomenon. Even this wasn't something that a lot of Aussies had grown up with, and this is something that they really saw mostly on American movies and TV shows. But Halloween is slowly starting to become a more popular holiday over here in Australia as well. Not a lot of Aussies celebrate it. It's just becoming a little bit more popular than it was maybe 20 or 30 years ago. But in America, this is a huge holiday. Everybody I know growing up loved Halloween. So let's start off with the biggest, probably the most obvious difference. We live in different seasons in America and Australia. In the States, it's fall when Halloween's going on. It's chilly, it's cold, you get that crisp autumn air, leaves are falling, it just feels right. Everything's going into that dark wintry period and it's like the perfect spooky season. Whereas over here in Australia, we're about halfway through spring and I still, as an American, can't quite wrap my head around the fact that it's Halloween and it's spring over here. On top of that, if you didn't walk into a grocery store and see a couple bags of Halloween candy and a couple bagged Halloween costumes, you'd have no idea that it was October because nobody decorates their homes for Halloween over here in Australia. I haven't seen a single set of orange lights or any inflatable lawn pumpkins or vampires. No one's decorated for a haunted house over here. There's no fake spider webs on the yard. All of this stuff that Americans do to decorate their homes for Halloween is just not a thing over here. Now, typically a lot of Aussie homes don't really go all out and celebrate things like Christmas, and I've seen Easter. There's just not a lot of need for lawn ornaments and a lot of Christmas lights and stuff like that. It's not as big to decorate the outside of your house here in Australia as it is to the States. Obviously some people do it, but it's not nearly as big. It's not nearly as popular of a thing to do. So if you're driving around your suburb here in Australia, I would be shocked if you've actually seen a home that was fully and properly decorated for Halloween. A couple people might throw some pumpkins and maybe a cute little mat in front of their door. That's about the extent of Halloween decorations over here in Australia. On top of that, you don't really see anything Halloween related here in Australia until like mid to late August. I know Halloween's at the end of October. You'd think even putting stuff out in August seems really, really early. But you guys, I used to work in an arts and crafts store over in the States when I was in uni, and we started putting out Halloween stuff back in June. Now granted, think about where I was at. If people are doing crafts, it's going to take some time. Some people, it might take months to do something. So if you want something ready by October, you might need to start in June. So we started putting out Halloween decorations in June. I mean, they were next to some of the 4th of July decorations in our shop. Whereas here in Australia, I saw TK Maxx start putting out candles and knickknacks about middle, closer to the end of August, and things really start to pick up probably about mid-September. That's when you saw a lot of places like Big W and Target and Kmart start to get their Halloween decorations out, the costumes out. But stores getting ready for Halloween just starts later over here in Australia. There isn't as much of a need or demand for Halloween decorations and decor and costumes and all of that extra stuff that people do for Halloween here. And on top of that, as an American, I miss Spirit Halloween. So maybe you Aussies know this, maybe a lot of you don't. If you know what Spirit Halloween is, before you watch the rest of this video, just type in the comments down below Spirit Halloween so I know that you know what this is. And if you don't know what this is pop-up Halloween stores over in the States. Entire stores dedicated to costumes and decorations and candy and trick-or-treat bags, like everything you could think of that you would need for Halloween, you would find in a Spirit Halloween store over in the States. Now, these stores pop up in places where a store used to be closed. When I worked at another store when I was in uni, they closed about a year after I had left, and next thing I knew, for Halloween, that store had become a Spirit Halloween up until about mid-November. So they'll pop up in August, close mid-November, and then do the whole thing over again next year. And they are huge. It is such a popular place to get Halloween costumes and Halloween decorations. It's crazy how much they have packed in those stores. If you wanted to get Halloween costumes over in the States, you would go to Spirit Halloween, or I remember my parents used to take us to Party City where they had an entire wall selection of costumes for kids and adults. You could go there. Obviously, with this day and age, you can buy Halloween costumes online, or you can make them yourself. Pinterest is a thing, and people get so creative with Halloween costumes now. Whereas here in Australia, yeah, you can buy Halloween costumes online. It's a little bit more of a limited selection than over in the States. Obviously, if you're creative, you can make your own Halloween costume. Or what a lot of people do is they'll go to Big W or Kmart or Target for kids' costumes or a couple little things to make their own. And that's how you get your Halloween costume over here in Australia. There are no dedicated Halloween stores. There's no dedicated huge section of a party store in order to go buy your Halloween costumes. So if kids even celebrate Halloween over here, they're probably going to get their costume either online or through a Big W or a Kmart or a Target. So I feel like just to put the obvious one out there, let's talk about the candy that kids get on Halloween. Growing up, we got Hersheys, we got Snickers and Reese's Cups, those little fun-sized candy bars, and obviously here in Australia they do have those fun-sized candies as well. And you can buy bulk candy here. You can go to Big W, you could go to Woolies, Target, Kohl's, and pick up bags of Halloween candy. But obviously, if you're in Australia, you're getting Cadbury, you're not getting Hersheys. I know this one is super obvious and you're probably rolling your eyes from me even putting it in here, but I just want to throw it out there that not all Halloween candy is Hersheys. So in Australia, you're probably going to get things like Freddo Frogs and picnic bars and Cadbury milk chocolate bars and Caramello koalas, all those cute little things with little Halloween packaging on them. And just in case you're wondering why I included picnic bars instead of something a little bit more popular, it's because they're my favorite. If you have any extras, send them to my P.O. box. You're not going to find things like Hershey bars over here in Australia to give out. On top of that, you gotta love American consumerism because they will go all out this time of year with Halloween themed things. I grew up with the cereal, you guys. I absolutely love it. I forgot that I had it. I'm a little bit scared to eat this because I shipped it over last year and it says best if used by the 18th of August 2022. So if you think this is still safe, let me know down below. I don't know how long cereal has until it expires, but their cereals like Count Chocula and a couple others that come out. I remember Pillsbury shaped sugar cookies. You guys, if I could get my hands on some of them right now, like I pay $100 for a tray of those cookies right now. I have been craving them since I moved over here. I couldn't ship any over with me, and they had absolutely none when my partner and I went to Hawaii a couple months ago. So I've been dying to get my hands on these cookies because these are the start of Halloween for me. You get the pumpkins and the cats and the ghosts. I miss these cookies so darn much. But that's what it's like over in the States. You get actual foods that are Halloween themed. You're not just getting candy bars put in cute little Halloween wrapping. You're getting actual limited, like only out for a couple months during the year foods that people love, that people miss. Obviously, it's such an American consumerism gimmick. I think if they had this out all year round, it wouldn't be nearly as exciting. But when you see Count Chocula hit the shelves, when you see those little Pillsbury cookies with the pumpkins hit the shelves, you get so excited. Fall's here, Halloween's right around the corner, and there is really nothing like this over in Australia. There's nothing really iconic that says, oh my gosh, now it's Halloween. It's really just bags of bulk candy with a cute little Halloween decoration thing on it. There's nothing iconic like this over here, at least not for Halloween. Now, this one a lot of Aussies are going to know and might actually surprise a few Americans. So Aussies aren't big Halloween celebrators. It's not a hugely popular thing over here. For my numbers and statistics people out there, I looked this up and only about 25% of Aussies say they're planning on celebrating Halloween in 2022, whereas 69% of Americans, yes, 69%, say that they plan on celebrating Halloween this year. Really, the majority of Aussies don't celebrate Halloween. You might see a couple kids going around your suburb trick-or-treating, but you're not going to find costume parties and Halloween parties and Halloween movie marathons over here like you do in the States. In America, there are so many people who love Halloween, who love fall, who absolutely love this time of year over in the States. I was one of them. Absolutely loved Halloween, decorated my house every year, always did at least something for Halloween every single year. This is how American Halloween is compared to Australia. So you know those little ceramic trees where you put lights in? I do have orange and purple lights that I could put in here. It has an American plug, you guys, like that. I can't even find an Aussie plug. I need a converter just in order to plug this guy in. You're not really going to find decorations like this over here in Australia. You'll find some glittery pumpkins and cute tea towels, but you're not going to find things as a little bit wild and bizarre as a ceramic black Halloween Christmas tree over here. Let me know in the comments below if I should put the lights in and light it up and like put it in one of the things back here for a couple months. Maybe I will. Maybe we'll play around and try it out. Let me know in the comments below what you think. But there are so many Americans who absolutely love Halloween. It's their favorite holiday, and over here in Australia, Halloween's kind of a throwaway holiday. It's like an afterthought. Nobody really celebrates it, and it's just not a big deal. For those in Australia that do celebrate Halloween, it's still pretty popular to go trick-or-treating. To go door to door, have your kids dressed up in their little cute Halloween costumes, and go around to all the neighborhoods and ask for candy. Obviously, not a lot of people celebrate Halloween, but it's becoming a little bit more popular over here, and it is something that you'll see kids doing in certain suburbs. Over in the States, and I'm so sad that this is a thing, trunk-or-treating has become really, really popular, and it sounds weird, so remember, trunk in America is the boot of a car over here in Australia, so it'd be like boot or treating. What people do is they'll decorate the back of their car in some cutesy, kitschy little fall theme and give out candy, and normally this is something that's done by a community center or a school. They'll do a little trunk or treat in some sort of empty parking lot, have kids go around all dressed up in their costumes in the middle of the day and get candy that way. And that was not a thing when I was a kid, and I am really, really sad that that is sort of taking over the door-to-door trick-or-treating experience. People still take their kids trick-or-treating, but it's become a lot more common for people to sort of carpool, take a bunch of kids to a nicer neighborhood or the neighborhoods that give out like the big size candy bars and go trick-or-treating there. It's just not as common for kids to go door to door like they used to, or they'll hit a couple big neighborhoods and that's really it. You know, it is really sad. It's an American tradition that I'm sad is kind of losing its popularity over these trunk or treats, but I mean, I guess you can't fight change. I think one of the reasons that Halloween is also so big over in the States is because of the time of year it falls in, and I'm not talking about because it falls in fall, or autumn as it's typically called over here in Australia. It's because Halloween falls on the 31st of October, and there used to be a very large Catholic population over in the States, so you would have Halloween on the 31st of October, and then All Saints Day on the 1st of November, which was a holy day of obligation. So a lot of kids actually had off from school if they went to Catholic schools, typically like from the 90s and earlier, and then the next day would be All Souls Day, which is the Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, for a lot of Latin American countries and people with Latin American backgrounds. So it's a very like intense 3 days for people who are Catholic and people who are Latin American as well. You'd have Halloween and then All Saints Day and then Day of the Dead. So kind of like 3 back-to-back important days in the Catholic calendar. I know Halloween obviously isn't a Catholic holiday, but a lot of people celebrate it. They'll acknowledge it in schools, they'll do a cutesy little arts and crafts project. And I remember that day as always being a bit of a throwaway day. Everybody was so excited that it was Halloween growing up. So it was just a day of fun activities. It was one of those days where you didn't really learn too much. You might have a couple like educational-ish activities going on, but typically it was just a fun throwaway day in school. You were off the next day because I went to a Catholic grade school, and then the next day was All Souls Day, and I remember a couple people who had Latin American backgrounds who actually took the day off and celebrated Day of the Dead with their family members. Whereas over here in Australia, obviously there's Catholics in Australia, don't get me wrong, but you're not going to find nearly as many Catholic schools in Australia as there are in the States. One, the population's smaller. Two, you tend to still get a pretty decent education even in the public schools over here. And three, Australians just aren't as religious as Americans. And I'm not talking about the outrageous, obnoxious, like shove it down your throat, zealot, like I'm not even talking about that level of religion. I'm just talking in general. There seem to be a lot more atheists and agnostics who are at least open about it and out and about over here in Australia. I know a lot of people who say, oh yeah, I grew up religious, but I'm just not really into it anymore, or they'll say I'm more spiritual than I am religious, whereas over in the States, religion is still a pretty big, popular, controversial topic, and it's still pretty widespread. There are a lot of religious people I know over in the States, and I don't know nearly as many religious people over here in Australia. I know that one's a little bit anecdotal. You're going to find people who are super religious in both countries. You're going to find atheists in both countries, but typically Australia just isn't as much of a religious country as the States. Editor Kaitlyn here. So there was one that I actually missed when I was filming, and that is movie marathons. Halloween movie marathons, scary movie marathons. They are huge on Halloween and right before Halloween. Whether you decide to binge watch them on your own, or a lot of people get friends together and do like a scary movie marathon, it's really, really common to do Halloween themed movie marathons right around this time of year. I know this weekend, as I'm filming this, I'm going to be binge watching all of the Halloween Town movies on Disney Plus, watching The Nightmare Before Christmas, and probably throwing a few scary movies in there too. So I'm actually really excited, and you know what? It's part of the American tradition that I can bring over here. It doesn't really affect anybody else, and I get to sort of keep in touch with my American roots by celebrating Halloween in a very American way. So this last one's going to be really controversial and might even piss off some people, but Halloween over here is seen as an American holiday. It's not seen through its Irish Celtic roots. It seems like an American holiday. It's right up there with Thanksgiving and the 4th of July and Memorial Day. It's seen as an American holiday, even though it's not, even though its backgrounds go all the way back to Europe, in a place where we actually share quite a lot of common ancestry. But because it's seen as such a huge American holiday, there's this pushback from a lot of Aussies who really do not want that American cultural imperialism coming into Australia and taking over. Even though they're not the largest country in the world, America is definitely the largest culture in the world. A lot of other countries have grown up watching American TV shows and American movies, listening to American music and following American celebrities. There is so much American culture around the world that it's definitely a dominant culture, and Halloween's always been seen as part of that American culture. So a lot of Aussies, particularly like the Gen X and Boomer generation of Aussies, are really having this pushback against Halloween becoming popular over here in Australia. I feel like with globalization going on, with social media taking over, Gen Z definitely, and maybe a little bit into the millennial generation as well, my generation, they're embracing Halloween a little bit more because they see how fun it is. They want to give it a try, they want to do it, and they're pretty used to seeing American culture. They've pretty much accepted that we're becoming more of a globalized culture in general with social media and whatnot, so they're embracing it a lot more than some of the old school Aussies that I've met. So that's it for this video, you guys. Differences between America and Australia for Halloween. I hope you guys like this. If you learned anything new, let me know in the comments down below. If you grew up celebrating Halloween at all and you're Australian, let me know down below, because I haven't met any Aussies who've celebrated Halloween, to be honest. It's definitely a newer thing, a newer trend. So if you do anything for Halloween and you live in Australia, please let me know down below. If you know any way to get your hands on these particular types of cookies, please let me know down below. I will be your best friend if you can tell me how in the world I can get these sent over. So that's it for this video, you guys. I hope you liked it. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe button down below, especially the subscribe button. It really does help support me and this channel. I really appreciate it. I will see you guys in my next video.